Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Wisam Samarah. I'm from Al-Quds Open University, and today I'll present a paper entitled The Role of Palestinian Imports in Forming a Competitive Economy, Lessons Learned from Turkey. Before I start my presentation, I would like to thank Dr. Yar Rasim Yilmaz for giving me the opportunity to speak in this conference. And I would also like to thank all the support that the Palestinians get from the Turkish people. In addition, I would like to remind that on October 7th, 2024, this date marks a whole year of the war on Gaza, or the genocide on Gaza. After this, I'll start my presentation of the paper. I will talk about the role of imports in forming a competitive economy. Now, why did we choose imports? First, due to its vital role that it plays in the economy. Imports play a very important role in an economy. The second reason we are looking for in imports is that it is easier to control the imports in compared to exports. Thirdly, imports do lead to both economic growth and economic development. Now, why did we look at Turkey? Why was Turkey taken as an example? Simply because Turkey first has a lot of similarities with the semi-independent state of Palestine. First, Turkey lies in a complex geopolitical region. Number two, Turkey shares has a similar endowment like Palestine, resource endowment. They both they do not have natural resources that much. They both rely heavily on the individual. Number three is Turkey is considered to be a competitive economy. Now, the important thing about Turkey too, actually, is the borders of Turkey. Turkey is bordered from the south by Syria and Iraq, and from the east by Iran. So that makes it very it lies in a very unstable region. So that's why we took Turkey as an example. Now, the variables we looked at in this paper were 6 variables. We looked at the exports of Turkey, the exports of Palestine, imports of Palestine, imports of Turkey, and finally, the real GDP per capita for both Turkey and Palestine. Now, the data for Turkey was taken from the Macro Trends website, and it covered the year from 1968 to 2022. Meanwhile, the data for Palestine was taken from the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics and covered the year from 1996 to 2022. Now, after taking the data and identifying the variables, the methodology that was used in this paper, we used the time series analysis, where we first took the unit root, we used the unit root test, then we used the co-integration test. Thirdly, we used the dynamic ordinary square test. And finally, we use metric-based analysis to measure the distance between both coefficients that we got for the imports. Now, the results were as follows. The unit root test had showed that all the variables were stationary at the first difference. And then we tested the co-integration test where we took the imports and the real GDP per capita for both Turkey and Palestine and showed there was a co-integration relationship. And then we took the exports with the real GDP per capita for both Turkey and Palestine. And this had also showed there was a co-integration relationship. After identifying both those co-integration relationships, we used, of course, the dynamic or least square method to calculate the coefficient, and we found that exports was positively significant to real GDP per capita for both Palestine and Turkey. Meanwhile, imports were positively significant to real GDP per capita for Turkey, while imports were negatively significant to real GDP per capita for Palestine, with a value of, now for Turkey, it had a value of 80,341. Meanwhile, for Palestine, it had a value of negative 58. Now, clearly, these results do make sense. These results indicate that imports are promoting both economic growth and increasing the standard of living for the Turkish population. Meanwhile, imports are contributing negatively to both economic growth and the standard of living for the Palestinians. So then we used our matrix space analysis to calculate the difference between the two variables, the coefficients of the imports, and we found that the difference between those two coefficients was 80,000 and 400, 8,400. This was the difference between both variables, both coefficients of the imports for Turkey and Palestine. So finally, we conclude the following. One, that imports play a positive role in both increasing the standard of living for Turkey. Meanwhile, imports is playing a negative role in decreasing the standard of living of Palestinians. So imports, the Palestinian imports, have to shift towards the Turkish imports, i.e., Palestinian imports should play the same role like the Turkish imports. Now, how do we do that? The following recommendations were given based on our results. One is Palestinians should import productive equipment and machinery. Two, Palestinians should import the know-how, meaning how they should learn how to do something, how to manufacture something. So doing so, Palestinian imports can play a positive, significant role on the real GDP per capita for Palestine, and thus this would help the Palestinian economy to shift and move towards a competitive economy. Again, we looked at imports because imports does play a vital role in a competitive economy. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope my presentation was clear. Comments?